Welcome to ReBloom, the podcast about reinvention, second chances, and rising into the next chapter of your life. I'm your host, Vanessa Bright, entrepreneur, environmental leader, and someone who believes it's never too late to grow into who you're meant to be. If you're rebuilding, rediscovering, or reclaiming your power, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Hello, ReBloomers. Today we are joined by Janelle Johnson, and I'm so excited. I think I found a sister from another mother,
Yes.
and Janelle, as we've gotten to know each other. So Janelle actually goes by Janelle Got Jokes.
Yes.
She is a cultural curator, a comedian, a Reiki Master, and a mindset coach. So Janelle, let's start off in your own words. Tell us how all those things go together.
Oh, wow. I believe I'm still getting used to the fact that they actually go together. I feel like for a very long time I tried to find identities and keep them in silos, but now it's all one big ball. But I would frame it, and I mentioned this to someone recently, as me just being a student of life, just kind of taking things in, not really being in a hurry for one thing or another. And before we go any further, thank you. This is beautiful. When I came in, I mentioned to Vanessa that it felt good in here. Now, I wasn't just talking about the temperature. The energy in here is rain. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And, I understand that because I have a few different things that I'm doing. And sometimes I don't even tell everybody what's in my mind because I think they're like, oh, she's all over the place, or she's.
Yes.
But I was recently in this incubator at Johns Hopkins, and my mentor said to me, you have created an ecosystem. And so I had never thought of it that way, but he was specifically talking about, I have Maryland Reentry, which is the nonprofit. Then we launched a social enterprise around conservation landscape. And then we're working now, for which I was in the lab for, a AI-supported case management system. So he's like, ecosystem. So now that's what I lead off with.
Yes, I
I
love
created
it.
an ecosystem.
Oh, I
so
love
that's
it.
what you have, Janelle.
Oh, thank you. Let me grab that. I love that. Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about the Reiki Master and trauma informed mindfulness facilitator, because those are the things that are very important and very needed in the work that I do with returning citizens.
Yes.
Now, I think I've had Reiki like one time, so I'm not totally clear on what it is. So maybe if you could tell our listeners a little more about what that means.
So I like to call it soul massage.
Okay.
A lot of times individuals are like, oh, what is that? Are you like putting a spell on somebody? I'm like, oh, honey, I don't even have the power, right?
Right.
But with Reiki, so I got into it around COVID.
Okay.
I needed something to keep me sane. So I wanted to study something to keep my brain kind of functional. And then I studied Reiki, and I didn't intend to go as far as a master, but I couldn't stop. It focuses on the chakras. We all have these amazing centers of energy, and I tell people to visualize it just like little circles that just are just swirling in our bodies. And there are things that stop the swirl, whether it is depression, stress, grief, lack of focus, exhaustion. There are things that just keep us from spinning. And what Reiki does is, without touching the person, you just go through and you assist with a mental detox of the areas. So from the head down to the toes. Now I will touch feet if people are comfortable. But it's been an amazing experience, especially with men. Inviting men into the space to just be still. Even in my re-entry work, one of the things that I often say to kind of draw the attention in with men in particular is, you are raised to protect and to serve. You're raised to protect and to serve, but no one tells you that it starts with you first. And then you kind of see like a shoulder drop. And I've experienced that in the Reiki spaces. So while I enjoy working with women and giving them a space just to be still, the way that the energy changes when I just touch someone's hand, because they think, they're laying on the table, which is similar to like a massage table. They're just laying there, they're still, while I take them through breath work. So breathing exercises just to release and to drop, I like to say drop the breaths. And as I'm going over them, and then I'll touch the hand, and most of the time they're in tears just with that. And I'm like, release here, right here. And we finish the session, and it most of the time ends with a hug. with no word spoken, but it's like, I don't know exactly what Reiki was supposed to do, Janelle, but I know I left some things here, and I'm like, that's what it was supposed to do.
It almost sounds like a physical type of therapy.
Yes, yes. And there's still, like, there's not a lot of manipulation. So I call it soul massage, because with actual physical massage, you know, you're touching and moving the areas. I'm not really moving anything. You're just being still, just trusting yourself, whatever comes up, whichever way you go. I like to focus a lot on the heart chakra. In addition to love being there, there's a lot of grief there. And just being able to release from that area. People are like, when you put your hand here, I don't know what happened. And I'm like, you let go. You let go.
So you're guiding them through the process.
I'm guiding them, yep.
So you've had your own experience with grief and depression. Please share whatever you want to share about that, but also how you've used these tools that you've learned in that process.
Absolutely. So with Reiki, with breath work, it started with me first. Okay. It had to be me first. I used traditional therapy. I had a therapist on speed dial, but there were things I felt like there were just no words for. With the grief, it wasn't limited to just, death and loss. It was heartbreak. It was going through like a rough relationship. With my son, I'm also the mother of a returning citizen. So I'm showing up at work all day in these spaces, encouraging other people, but on the inside I'm screaming because I'm like, when will my son get it? And coming home, just sitting with that. So from the Reiki to the breath work, it gave me the release that I needed. And I was like, okay, well, what next? What do you do with it? So I'm a little mindful with it, because I realized when I got into being the mindfulness coach or doing the Reiki, it was still me being in a position to want to save others. And I hadn't saved myself yet. So I was like, okay, so let me sit down a little bit. But
it's like that whole on the airplane, put the oxygen
on
yourself
you first. And I'm out here in these streets like, here, you breathe, and I could hardly keep up with my own breath. But I had two very significant losses in recent years. I mean, I feel like death has just been a theme for most of my life. I had a daughter that passed, my dad, my grandmother, and I was able to, to get through those. And then I had one of my very best friends pass from pancreatic cancer. And you always got to have that girlfriend that does not put up with your mess. That's like, I see you and you can do better. And you don't need to be around those people. And you need not do this. And then when she left, I was like, so what do you do? Because while you don't anticipate the grief of a parent or a child, those are losses that you kind of try to prepare yourself for. One day someone's going to go. But the thing that helps us get through those losses with the children and with the parents are the friends. They're the glue that's like, girl, I'm going to put you back together. And I lost my glue. So I was like, okay, so what am I going to do now? And then I had a cousin who was like a brother to me that was tragically killed. And it just stopped me for a while. I couldn't do much. And prior to those two losses, my aunt, who was like a second mom to me, my best friend, committed suicide. Left my house on a Sunday, spent the entire day with me and my children, drove from my house to the Bay Bridge and jumped. And before the grief set in, it was a lot of anger for years. So just trying to siphon through all of that, and I'm like, girl, you're gonna lose your mind. You need to be here. And for a lot of years, my focus was, I need to be here for my children. And then they grew up and got people in their lives and children that they needed to be there for. So I was like, now there's you. Now what you gonna do about it? So.
You touched on something that a lot of people that listen, because of the age group that we're in, we do, or we can spend a lot of time so focused on others. Is that when those people go away and have their own lives, then what's left? And that's one of the reasons I created this podcast, because I'm the type of person, I'm continuing to grow me and continue to try to attain those goals, whether it might be a goal from when I was 30. If I still want to do it, I'm working on it. So what would you say to our audience about that? Because you personally experienced that with, you were hanging on for your kids. Now your kids have people and your kids are grown up. What are you hanging on for now? What is motivating you now to keep on getting up and keep on doing?
It is me. it's me. I realize that I really like who I see. I kind of compare myself to like the cowardly lion, tough, pushing others, doing all the things, but afraid of so much. And I'm like, you spent close to 40 years, and I'm 50, I'll be 51 soon, but you spent close to 40 years being afraid. But did you see what you did in spite of fear? So now that you see that, what you gonna do? So I also had a good friend who had kind of painted this vision for me, which was hilarious. And I was like, girl, you right. She said, humans are the only species that coddle their babies. Like, even birds are like, you got to go.
Right.
You know, whether you take flight out of the nest or what, they're not coming down to rescue you. So I kind of hold on to that. But
so let's talk about the fear, because you're doing something I think would make a lot of people afraid. Because I think the fear of public speaking is like the number one fear, even among fear of death. But you're doing improv,
yes,
and you're using comedy for healing and a lot of different things. So tell us how that started, how it works, where you do it, and all about that.
So the improv and now the stand-up comedy is really me embracing my crazy. Like, girl, you are a loon. But during my depression, oh my goodness, like I would literally just come home, go to work, come home, go to work, come home, go to work. There were days when I'm like, girl, did you shower last night? Like, you are like, you're not doing good. And I can't remember exactly what I said to myself, but I remember on a Saturday, it was like a rainy Saturday, and I was like, I'm gonna find something to do today. If I have to do it alone, I'm gonna find something to do. And I go on Eventbrite, and I'm looking at free events because, people ain't got the money. So I was like, let me see, free event. And it was a free improv workshop at the Waverly Enoch Pratt branch in Baltimore.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, free, like 2 hours. I'm going to go. I'm not going to like it, but I'll at least got out of this bed for the day and went and did something. Went into the class, and really friendly individuals there, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I refuse to like it. Groups of other individuals came, and so it was like a class of maybe 10 people. And before we got into like the body work and the movement of improv, the instructor said something that just struck a chord with me, that improv is based in, the core rule of improv is agreement. Like, it's yes and, there are no buts. Like, you have to be able to support your scene partners. You can't come out trying to be a superstar. It's about agreement, paying attention, being present. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. These things are, they sound familiar to me, right? Like the things that I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
Spent 2 hours in that class and just fell in love with it. Like, just being able to leave my mom title, my work title, my community title at the door and come in and be whatever the scene called for. Not practice, not rehearse. You get a word or a location of inspiration, and then you work with your scene partners to create the vision. They encouraged me to look into the level 1 classes, and I was like, okay, I'll do that. And that was like an 8-week class, 6 or 8 week class. And on the first day, the instructor was like, at the end of the class, we do a showcase. And I was like, I'm not doing no showcase. Like, and she actually reminded me of that a few weeks ago. It was like, I remember with level 1 when you were like, you're not doing the showcase.
And you weren't going to even like the class.
No, I did not plan on liking anybody, not the class, not anything. But just the agreement, the presence, improv keeps me kind. Again, it's not about showboating. Sometimes I'll step out on the stage and maybe have go blank, like, oh, wait a minute, what are we doing? And to see somebody walk up and even play on that, like, oh, I got your back. Okay. And that's the thing that you say before you hit the stage every time to your partners. You hit them on the back, I got your back, I got your back. It has not only changed my life, it saved my life.
So wait, so improv is always with other people? Is that? So
improv is, at a minimum, you have like 2 people on stage.
Oh, okay.
And like the audience will typically, you'll get up, introduce yourself, and ask the audience for a word of inspiration. And they may say refrigerator, remote. But like, you have no idea what they'll shout out. Okay. And then you look at your troop mates, and someone will step forward, and then someone else will step forward, and you create the scene. You have no idea what your other person's going to do. Yes.
I know I said I wouldn't do stand-up comedy, but this whole improv,
listen,
I might do that with you.
Yes.
I'm going to add it to my 60 before 60 list.
Come on now.
List
yes.
that I'm working on.
Yes.
So we're going to try that.
Absolutely. I'm going to hold you to that.
Okay. So now you're doing stand-up, which is different, which I really didn't even get the difference because I thought improv and stand-up were the same, the same thing. And you're a part of an all-black female improv trio.
Yes.
So tell us a little more about the stand-up and then the trio that you're a part of.
Sure. So the stand-up, again, it was kind of just me watching myself float into these opportunities. I'm like, are you really signing up to do stand-up? Mm-hmm. But I got the opportunity to participate in a 8-week workshop at Big Improv in Baltimore, where you work with a coach and a group of other, hopeful comedians, and he just walks you through technique and how to memorize your set, how to position the mic. And at the end of every class, it will be an open mic.
Okay.
Shout out to Michael Furr. He's an amazing coach in Baltimore.
Okay.
And then you just kind of work open mics. Like, you look around the city and you're like, okay, I'm going to show up. I'll go sign up.
Okay.
And you work your material. So I've done that. I've gotten a lot of stand-up opportunities. I surprise myself with showing up every time. Like, am I really doing this? I have a friend who's actually doing a birthday party next week, and he's like, I want you to come and, do a set. And I was like, okay, how long? And he was like, an hour. I was like, oh, no, I'm not Martin Lawrence. Like, it ain't no hour. Like, I can do a 20-minute set. Okay. So that'll be the longest. Okay. That I'll have done. Last night I did a 8 to 10 minute set that was like the longest to date. You typically do like 5 minutes. I'm just kind of like watching myself.
And amazing.
And amazing myself, yes. But with Landlines, I met the other 2 individuals through the High Wire Center, where we go and take the improv classes. And we're taking the class, and I'm watching these 2 individuals, and I'm like, oh my God, like, they're really good. And you typically don't see a lot of African Americans in improv, so I encourage everybody to do it. Like, just check it out. But I saw these 2 individuals, and I'm like, they're awesome. I hope to be that great. And after a show one night at the center, one of them came up to me and was like, hey, we're looking to start our own improv troupe. Okay. And we would love to have you join us. And I was like, me? Like, did you see me up there? And she was like, yes, girl.
But they saw something?
Yes.
They saw something special?
Yes. So now we perform mainly at the High Wire Center, but through Baltimore. We are the only black all-female trio. Now, we say Baltimore, but others are like, girls, no others in Maryland. So we're excited about that. We have our first hour-long show on June the 19th, Juneteenth, at the High Wire Center. So it should be great, but it's great.
And we'll have that information on the website so our viewers can see that. So I don't want to, not forget this, because this was really powerful, but you said that it saved your life. And so can you speak to that a little bit about what you think about improv and the whole using humor and everything?
Oh, sure.
Did for you from a mental perspective?
Absolutely. It blew up the confidence in my life. I feel like I have not historically been a very confident person. I would be someone that would walk into a space and immediately look where I could shrink in it versus bloom, like, okay, I don't fit here. Just always kind of uncomfortable.
That's really hard for me to believe.
Yes, everyone says that. But I would go just out of my way to make others feel comfortable because I didn't want them to feel like I felt. I started a movement called the Anti-Mean Girl Club, and I hosted a brunch a few years ago, and everyone's like, oh, you have to do that again. But I did it because, I walked into spaces and saw faces that looked like me, and, you get the one up, the one down, the rolled eyes, and I'm like, I'm really a cool person if you get to know me. But walking into the improv spaces, I was bringing that with me, like expecting to shrink, expecting to not be seen. While I'm often one of the only people of color in the space, it feels like home every single time I walk in there. It's like cheers. Hey, Janelle. You come in, you're seen, you're supported, and I really needed that.
We all need that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I realized, especially once my aunt, when she committed suicide, as someone who thought about it, like often, like, I just want to go. But I didn't want my kids to have that story.
Right.
Like I didn't want them to like grow up with, your mother killed herself. So I said, I'm going to stay. But I also realized how hard it is to stay, which is why I go out of my way to make others feel welcome, warm, and just seen. And improv, it hits all of the marks for me. It keeps me kind. Now, stand-up allows me to cuss, carry on, say things I want to say, but improv keeps me kind.
So I usually tell our ReBloomers how I met someone, and I didn't say that when we started, but Janelle and I are actually in the same circle doing reentry work, and we've been on calls together. And I didn't even realize it when she responded to a question that I put out on LinkedIn. If anybody's interested in being on a podcast, reach out. So it wasn't until today I realized that we're doing similar work. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing in reentry. You have a son that's a returning citizen. Yes. So how all that has impacted your life, and I can hear from everything you say you really like to pour into others. So
sure.
I know you're pouring into returning citizens, and they know and they need it.
Thank you, and likewise, thank you for what you do. So I actually lived a few blocks from here, and when my son was 18, he was in and out of Cheltenham, just getting himself caught up in like just juvenile mess, and I felt unsupported in that, and I started a support group for parents of youth offenders, and we would meet right at the Stanton Center, and I would have to go into courtrooms and advocate for him, set him up to go into programs and services that the courts weren't, matching him to. So I had to be the advocate for that, showing other parents how to advocate for their children, and then I got the opportunity to work at Vehicles for Change as the program director for education and training, and I'm seeing like just men and women come in and out of that program and have their lives change. And again, on the inside, I'm like dying because I'm like, why can't my son get it? And I remember him saying to me, I don't want to do it your way. And I'm like, so this is not my way. And this was actually while I was a navigator for the state of Maryland. And I'm like, so it's not my way. I'm just providing you access to resources, connecting him with colleagues, and wouldn't show up appointments, wouldn't keep his word. And that was just difficult to navigate. So I had to cut the umbilical cord, let him figure some things out on his own. But with that, I realized also I was bringing a lot home with me. I was, instead of seeing my clients, I'm looking at, my son's name is Keenan, I'm looking at 300 Keenans trying to save them. And I'm like, you know what? You need to take a different approach. And it was this therapist that I worked with in another field who had given me this awesome perspective. She said, Janelle, I had asked her, I said, how were you able to separate? I know you hear like just some god awful things with your clients. How do you leave that here? She said, the way that I look at it is I'm just giving them the stick. My clients come in here, whatever the issue is, it existed before they came here, and it will exist after they leave. I'm just showing them how to navigate life with it. She said, but the way that they see the world or their life is like a jungle. Overrun, brush, vines everywhere, trees down. It's not that they want to give up. They just need a really good stick to hit through it. We're just giving them the sticks. And I took that and applied it to my work in reentry. Like, look, I'm going to give you one hell of a stick. It's going to be strong, unbreakable, but it is yours to use.
Right.
So
and with our children, sometimes when we can't reach them, it's other people that can speak into their lives. And we have to realize, like you did, that sometimes you have to, kind of let go or give that tough love, as they say, because that's real. Because sometimes they just don't want to listen to us. Because you're mom. And,
that's right.
They may think you don't know what you're talking about. That's although you have 300 other of them, but they aren't listening to you.
Yes.
So we have a lot of Keenans who didn't listen to moms. They come in here and they listen to me. They listen to their case manager. I have a son, so I totally understand how that is. And we just have to, turn them over to God. That's
absolutely.
That's what I
absolutely.
And so you have one other thing I want to make sure I talk about, and that is the God Hour.
Yes.
And it's a platform you've dedicated to women to help them beat the odds. So can you share a little bit about the podcast?
Yes. So I created that podcast I had a motive. I needed encouragement.
Just like me.
Yes.
I need this.
It's a motive. I'm like, I love your stories, but look, you are pouring into me,
exactly.
right? But there are so many women, I feel like we don't toot our own horns enough. Like, you'll find out that people are doing really dope things. They're like, oh, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, yes, it is a big deal. And what makes it an even bigger deal are the things that they had to go through to get there.
Right.
So I wanted to create a platform where we could get to the nitty gritty, talk about all the things and then reintroduce.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who are you now?
Mm-hmm.
I had one individual on there who I love dearly, but she was a returning citizen. Mm-hmm. And her story was it was wild. Mm-hmm. And while she was denied entry to like certain areas because of her background, like she's now like the most tapped in caterer for like Maryland state government, local government, providing meals. And her story was just like so inspiring. But just being able to sit and have a front row to that, like that's an exchange of, energy. So I'm like, fill me up. But being able to provide that platform for other individuals, it was just an amazing experience.
I love that.
Thank you.
So, as we wrap up, just one thing, do you have one thing you like to say to the audience? I know we touched on a lot. One piece of advice, it could be something that brought you through, remembering that this is an audience of 50 plus women and we're trying to encourage them and inspire them.
Yes.
That, midlife is not the end of our story, it's just the edit to our story. It's the time for us to do more amazing things. We know ourselves better. We know what we want. We know what we don't want. So please share that.
So all of that with a period and an exclamation. But just a reminder that it's not too late for us to do hard things. Sometimes the hard thing is getting up. Sometimes the hard thing is finding your tribe. You can have more than one tribe. I think especially as women of color, we kind of stick to what we know. No. Do whatever's here. Like you said something earlier with I don't tell everything that's in my brain, because do all the things, touch on it, whether you complete it, just get it started. But it's not too late to do hard things.
And then last question that I ask all our guests, what is reblooming in your life right now?
Ooh. Me, I'm like a flower and I just love it. But humor, love in all the ways, fullness. A part of my ReBloom has really been my grandchildren. Oh, they're just amazing. I don't think I can just kind of put it. It's just everything. It's overflow.
It's eking out of you.
Yeah.
So, I just want to thank you for coming on. I thank you for your passion.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Just your excitement, your humor, your smile. And I want to thank our ReBlooming audience. Take these words from Janelle and just keep ReBlooming. Keep trying new things and keep growing. See you next time.
Yes.
Thank you for spending this time with me on ReBloom. If this conversation spoke to you, share it with someone else who might be ready for their next chapter. And remember, reinvention doesn't mean starting over. It means starting wiser. Until next time, keep growing, keep rising, and keep blooming.